Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts, hold on tight. You're in for one crazy, epically awesome, and super cool ride tonight on the Josh Nolan and Oliver Schultz Full Throttle Racing Show, #1 on YouTube. With us tonight is dirt track stock car driver, superstar Chance Larson. Welcome to the show, Chance.
Hi.
Hi. So, Chance, let's talk about your racing career. Where did this awesome ride begin for you?
Let's see. I started out in hobby stocks in Fairmont when I was 15. So that would
Okay.
be almost 20 years ago now, 19 years ago.
Wow. So when you climbed into your hobby stock for the first time, what was that experience like for you?
It was very humbling. I, uh, my I have an older brother that has quite an impressive hobby stock career. So when I jumped behind the wheel, I kind of felt like I knew everything. And I quickly learned right away in the first corner that I didn't know anything.
Okay, okay. So
At that time, I think we normally had like 20 hobby stocks every night. So I pulled out first in hot laps and looped it in front of the whole field.
oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah,
So
it was quite the
so Chance, were you a little bit scared when you got behind the wheel for the first time of a race car?
um not really. I had raced go-karts before that, and then I raced BMX bikes for I started that when I was 9 and raced right up until I got behind the wheel of a race car. So I mean, I've kind of always had just a need for speed and adrenaline, I guess.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So Chance, with your racing career, how much success have you had as a race car driver behind the wheel?
Um, I think this year was probably our best year so far. Um, we were the bridesmaid a quite a few times. I bet we probably have 10 or 12 second place finishes this year, and we
Okay.
led a lot of races. We uh we just never seemed to seal the deal this year. But I mean, you race door to door with guys like Derek Green and Luke Sadoff and Jeffrey Larson, and when you pull off a second place finish in a field like that, it's a pretty good feeling.
Oh yeah. Yes it is. Yes it is. So Chance, with your racing career, where do you want to be at in 10 years with your racing career?
My dream has always been to drive a late model.
To drive a late model.
That's
Okay.
that's ultimate. Yeah, that is where I want to get to. Um, I think that's kind of it's what I like most about the stock cars is it still gives you the body feeling. Unlike,
Oh yeah.
in an open wheel like a modified. I tried a sport mod for a couple years and that I just wasn't a big fan of that.
Yeah.
I like racing close, door to door racing, and you don't have a real margin for error with the open wheel stuff.
Oh yes. Exactly. So Chance, with your racing career, where did your race car number come from?
So it was actually we bought when I started with hobby stocks, we bought a complete race ready car and then another car with everything to put that one together. And it already had the number 95 on it. And I wanted to race super bad. So we bought it on a Thursday afternoon, and Friday evening I raced it in Fairmont. So
Oh,
we didn't get to change nothing. And at the end of that year, I just kind of it stuck. And then that's when the Cars movie came out. And I always had I was always going to do a Lightning McQueen theme, and it just never happened, I guess.
Okay, there's still time for that with your racing career to do it like that.
There is. Yep.
Yeah. So Chance, when you're at the racetrack, who helps work on your race track when your race car?
Um, it all depends where we're at. If we're local, the my girlfriend Amanda's usually there. My nephew Ridge, um, the my car owner, his brother, he bought a stock car this year, so if he's not racing, he's usually at the track helping, and that's usually about it. If we're in Fairmont, I have a couple guys that help out that work at work with me that they'll come out and hang out and help turn wrenches and stuff, change tires, and
Okay,
I'm
okay,
kind of
okay.
a I'm kind of I don't know, I'm hard to work for in that aspect because I just don't like to give out the responsibility to other people.
Okay, okay. So Chance, when it comes to your racing career, who do you have for sponsors on your race car?
I have Zach's Trailers. Um, we have Gerhardt's Catering, Tammy's on the Ave, PRS Transport, the Still Bar and Grill, uh, Midwest Exterior, um, Mike Lopow with Whipple Seeds. Um, I think that's all of them.
Are you still looking for sponsors for your racing team?
Yes, we are currently looking for sponsors now. Um, haven't really put a wrap design together yet, I guess. So we got plenty of time, to keep searching, and it's an expensive hobby. So anytime you
Oh
can
yeah.
get a little help, you never turn that down.
So I'd like to help you out a little bit, Chance. If there's anybody going to be out here watching this racing show with me and Chance Larson, and you want to help him out with his racing career, reach out to Chance Larson and his racing team because they'd appreciate the sponsorship on Chance's race cars as he gets further into his racing career. So
Yes.
Chance, when you're at the racetrack and you're getting strapped into your race car to go out there for high laps, heat race feature, what else helps get you psyched up and motivated to go out there and do this?
Um, really, I think the biggest thing is it's where I spent the most time with my dad was at the racetrack.
Okay.
So he passed away be I think 11 years ago now. So
Okay.
it's where I feel closest to him. So like the moment I
Okay.
get to the racetrack, I'm just usually in a great mood. It
Okay.
doesn't take much to really get me psyched once I get there. I'm pretty much amped up until I get home usually.
Okay. Okay. So, Chance, what is your home racetrack you race on now?
My home racetrack is Fairmont Raceway in Fairmont, Minnesota. My car
What's
owner
your favorite
is
racetrack?
also the promoter for that racetrack now.
Okay, okay. So, what's your favorite racetrack to race on?
Um, well, if you'd asked me like 2 months ago, I'd have told you it was Lucas Oil Speedway in Wheatland, Missouri.
Okay,
uh, Now, I'd have to say it's probably Fairmont.
okay, okay. Okay, going back to the Wheatland, Missouri deal, what made you consider that your favorite racetrack?
It just I've never been to a facility like that before. Like, they call it the diamond of dirt tracks, and until you've been there, you don't necessarily understand what they mean by that. It's it's the most well kept, just everything is groomed. It's a very just nice facility, and the racetrack is top notch. I can tell you from experience that if you've ever done any I racing, if you go over the cushion in I racing, it's the same way in real life. There's no stopping you from hitting the wall.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah.
So Chance, okay. So now, Chance, do you have any big racing events on your calendar coming up that you're looking at racing in?
Um, it all really depends. We're in the process of putting together another car, which together after my whole mishap in Wheatland in October. So I think we get that one somewhere around Christmas time. So if it's finished, it'll probably be like the Eiffel Tower Classic down in Paris, Texas.
Okay, okay. And
That'll
is
probably
that
be
a
our first.
is that a US
What
is
is
that a
that?
USRA or IMCA event, the Eiffel Tower?
That is a USRA event.
Okay, okay, okay,
So
okay,
we made the decision last year to just go full USRA with the car.
okay.
Um, we we had a lot of success with IMCA,
Yeah,
but it just with the car owner being a USRA promoter,
yeah,
it kind of makes things tough to go and support an IMCA event when we can't get a lot of IMCA cars to come and support any of our events
yeah.
in Finland. So we made the switch to go over to full USRA, which in all honesty, I had the most fun I think out of any year racing last year, and that was all just USRA events. The only semi IMCA show we went up to Wilmer and did the show at KRA Speedway, which
Okay,
is like it's kind of like an IMCA versus USRA event. We can run our
okay.
full USRA car. We just have to put on a two barrel, which I mean
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun. It just I don't know. I'm not a real big fan of short tracks.
Okay, okay. You like the big tracks.
Yeah, the short track you have to be so rough on a short track. You
Oh yeah.
know, it's when it gets locked down on the bottom and I don't enjoy driving like that. I don't enjoy getting into somebody on corner entry to get them up off the bottom and I'd much rather like take Fairmonts for instance. You get nights where the racetrack's slick, but you'll still have two lanes of racing side by side. You're not beating the guy off on the bottom of the racetrack. The big tracks are a lot more fun in my opinion.
Oh yeah. So, Chance, so okay, when you're at the racetrack and you're getting hungry, what's your favorite thing to eat at the racetrack?
Let's see. The first thing I get at the racetrack is usually nachos.
Oh yes, yes.
That,
You
that's
can't
usually the
beat
first thing
racetrack
I do.
nachos.
Yep.
Racetrack
And me,
nachos are the best.
I don't usually eat a lot at the racetrack. So if I'm gonna eat, I get there and that's the first thing I do before I unload the race car, before I do anything else. I go and get nachos. I sit down, I enjoy them because I know that I wouldn't say that I'm scared. It's more just adrenaline the whole time and just you don't have any desire to eat. You're just amped up.
Yeah. So, Chance, do you have a racing nickname that they call you at the racetrack?
Um, no, not really. Towards the end of my IMCA career, Jerry Van Sickle, he called me the Dozer.
Okay, okay, yeah. So, Chance, okay, when you're away from the racetrack, what's your favorite thing? What's your favorite restaurant to eat at outside of the racetrack?
Um, I would say my favorite place to eat probably is Culver's.
Culver's. Okay.
Yep.
Culver's is very good. Very, very good. Yes, yes. When you're at home, what's your favorite home cooked meal, Chance?
Chili.
Chili. Oh, yes. Very good
Yeah.
stuff there. Very good stuff there. So, Chance, what do you like to do for fun away from the racetrack?
Um, I do I do a lot of iRacing.
Okay.
Um, I play disc golf,
Okay. I love to play disc golf myself.
and then pretty much the rest of the time is just consumed with maintenance and working on the race car.
Okay, okay, okay. So, Chance, who are some of your friends at the racetrack?
Let's see. I got um, Andy Gerhardt, Justin DeBoer, Ben Peterson, um, Jonathan Hines, um, Craig Fowler,
Okay,
Nathan Roy. Um, yeah, I mean, that just lists off a few of them.
okay. So, Chance, okay, do you have any advice out there for the kids coming up in the racing world?
Um, just don't let the bad days get you down. Don't let the
Okay,
bad days determine if you keep doing it or not. Because
okay.
no matter what, you're gonna have bad days. There's just things aren't gonna go your way.
So, Chance, with your racing career, do you have some crazy stories you'd like to share with us?
Um, I mean the end of my season, that's probably about the craziest that I had this year. We were down in Wheatland, kind of had a rough week. It started off pretty good, and we it came to Saturday, to get ready for all the main events, and we were scheduled to start in the C main. So we went up and watched a couple races, um, got the car all ready to go, started the C main. I think they took the top 12 cars. I think we were running fourth or fifth, and kind of got tight with another guy getting into the corner. And we touched a little bit. The car rotated, got onto the right side and dug in, and just the way it went, I think they said it went over 4.5 times.
Oh,
It it pretty much destroyed everything. If it bolted onto the car, it's pretty much junk. It bent bolt tubes on the rear end,
oh,
those blowers, the uppers, the spindles. Um,
wow.
it was it was a pretty rough ride.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, Chance,
That
yeah, that was a pretty rough ride for you there.
that's right. That's probably about the only real crazy story I guess I got. Otherwise, it just kind of been a pretty normal season.
So, Chance, I'm going to turn the mic over to you right now. I'm going to let you ask me some questions. Is that all right?
Sure. Um, let's see. Josh, how did you get started in doing this?
Well, it was really kind of crazy, Chance. Out of IMCA racing, there was a guy out of Pauline, Iowa. I don't know if you recognize the name or not. You may. He ran a sport mod for a few years and just, had a phenomenal career. And now he's busy with his son's racing career. Clay Evans. Do you know who Clay Evans is, Chance?
Okay, yeah. Yep, yep.
Clay is the one that created this. Clay just got a hold of me one day and he says, Josh, I'm a successful businessman. He says, I run a business that's called Tri-State Soft Washing. And I says, yeah, Clay, I've known you for a while. He says, well, crazy thing is that I've noticed one thing with your Facebook page. You got all the race car drivers on there. He says, why don't you do something with it? And I said, well, what are you talking about? He says, host your own racing show. See where it leads you. He says, I want to be the creator of this. Let's see where it goes. I said, well, I've never been on a camera a day in my life. This could be rather interesting. And I said, okay, okay. So we started out with 38 viewers. And then a year and a half to 2 years after that, because we started out in 2018. A year and a half to 2 years later is when we really started seeing a lot of huge success. And that was off of Facebook Live, nevertheless. And we started noticing, we created a business page and we started figuring out, oh my God, over 2,000 some people know who we are throughout the United States and Canada. This is getting insane. Well,
Right.
then all of a sudden, I deal with a lot with the kids and a lot of you local drivers. And one of the kids that on my racing show that was from oh Virginia, he races USAC that 25 quarter midgets. It's called the NASCAR U Series now. But anyway, his dad approached me, a mom, and says, Josh, me and my wife are getting ready. We have master's degrees in marketing. We have this plan. And I said, well, what's your plan in the case in point? And he says, well, we want to open our own marketing company up. Me and my wife do, just as kind of like a side gig. I said, well, okay. This is well, Mark and Samantha Taylor, what do you have planned? I said, well, with that being said, Josh, we want you to be one of our first clients. Okay, cool. What do you want to do? And they said, well, we want to. You take care of the internet. You take care of the recording. We do the editing behind the scenes here. So we want to launch you to YouTube. And I was like, really? They're like, yeah. So we initially launched to YouTube, and now with our people that come and watch the show, it's really phenomenal. We get over 10,000 some viewers, so that's pretty interesting.
Right. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yes. So being a racing show host has its benefits. You get to meet a lot of different race car drivers and get to meet a lot of different awesome interviews and stuff like that. So
Right.
yeah.
Um, who would be your favorite race car driver that you
You
have
know what?
interviewed?
My favorite race car driver I have interviewed. Um, I actually chance coming up to the racing world. I love all sorts of different types of racing. Your guys' is racing, quarter midgets, stock cars, sprint cars, the whole Magilla. And I can say I've had two really good interviews. One, I really thought would never happen, and it just happened through Cars of the Racing show and through a racing team I'd met from Indianapolis. And they reached out to this team and said, and this team's like, yeah, our drivers would totally love it. I was able to sit down with when I was growing up, IndyCar racing was huge, and I'm like, oh my god, Indy 500, hands down, biggest race of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I always wanted to interview, a famous name out of the IndyCar series. Well, I was able to sit down with, I kid you not, Chance, Oliver and Sebastian Weldon. Their dad was two-time Indy 500 Dan Weldon, and that was pretty interesting to sit down with them.
Right. That would be awesome.
And then the other one, I was able to sit down with through the power of racing and everything that he had been through and stuff. I was able to sit down off of Facebook Live. I was able to sit down and talk to Shane Meal.
That's cool.
And Shane, with everything he had been through, I don't know if you know Shane's story or not, Chance.
I don't think so. No.
He come up through the ranks. He was a young kid coming up through the racing world, and he'll flat out tell you. You talk to him, he's like, I didn't earn my way into racing. He says, my family pretty much paid my way into racing. And I was like, really, Shane? And he says, yeah. He says, if I would have earned my way, he says, I would have done things a lot different. And he says, I took a lot of things for advantage. And he says, started out racing, gotten into NASCAR, that type of thing there. And he says, hell, made $1 million before I was 23, 24 years old. And he says, that's insane. And he says, when you get a driver, a young kid like that coming into that and doesn't realize responsibility that comes with that, and the way you have to present yourself, he says that becomes an issue. And he says, thought I could show up at the racetrack anytime, do my job, and then I get done, I can go party and not have to worry about anything. And he says that caught up with me. He says I had three occurrences with NASCAR, which I'm ultimately got me kicked out of NASCAR. And he says my family says, Shane, if you need help, here's where you go to get help. And he says I went and spent about a good amount of time in rehab because he says I was dealing with substance abuse and stuff like that. And he says, I went and got help. And he says, after that, I come back out a different person. He says, I had dreams. I says, this is where I want to be at. I believe I've up all my chances in NASCAR. I want to become the next American IndyCar driver. This is what I want to do. And he says, I want to start over. I want to come up through USAC, the sprint cars, the non-wing sprint cars, the midgets, and stuff like that. He says, was doing that. And he says, October of 2010, my dream got shattered. And I says, well, let's talk a little bit about that, Shane. And he says, yeah. He says, we were racing non-wing sprint cars on dirt in Terre Haute, Indiana. And he says, they've always told me, as a race car driver, you go out and walk the track because he says that's where where your car is going to run best at. And he says that day, I can honestly say I didn't. And he says when we went to go push off the car for single car qualifying, because it's 2 laps at full speed. He says the first lap, they pushed me off, and I wasn't even taking the green flag yet. I was coming out of corners 3 and 4, going into 3 and 4. My car started to bicycle. And he says it got up on two wheels after I hit a rut, and the top part of my roll cage, because I was running non-wing sprint cars, made contact with the cement wall and literally caused my back and neck to explode. And he says, spent a good month to 2 months in the hospital. Didn't know if I was going to live or die there for a good month to 2 months. He says, my family thought I was going to die every day. And he says, that's a really hard thing to put them through. And he says, I'm a paraplegic now. He says, I can't walk. He says, I can talk. I can feed myself. He says, I have trouble, dressing myself and stuff like that. But he says, I have a van that I can drive with hand controls. He said, I got my hand control, my hand sensations back. But he says, they don't know if I'll ever be able to walk again. And I said, so Shane, out of this experience, where do you want to take this? He says, Josh, I never want to give up on my dream. He says, so I kind of turned things up and turned it around. And he says, I opened a team up to help people with disadvantages that don't have a lot of money to keep racing. It's called 5-6 Inc. And he says, it gets these kids and young adults into racing and keeps them in racing because he says, that's what I'm all about, giving back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is super cool.
Yeah. But yeah, he says, I work out every day. I go to therapy every day. He says, people think, Shane's just kind of wasting away in a wheelchair. And he's like, no. He says, I literally go to therapy and I work twice as hard in therapy than I ever did as a race car driver in NASCAR. He says, man, it's like going through a marathon every day.
I couldn't imagine.
And he says, they get me on a treadmill. They've got me on like harness so that I won't fall. And he says, they've got me helping me try and see if I can get some movement back in my legs. But he says, it's just, and it's a never ending battle. He says, I go to therapy and he says, it's just like a full on workout. And he says, I'm there for 3 or 4 hours a day. And I'm just like, wow, that's that's what you call a super workout.
Right.
Yeah. 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 So you have any more questions for me, Chance?
No, I don't think so.
Chance, because I asked you if you had a racing nickname. I do. I'm the full throttle rock star, but that's what they call me.
That is awesome.
Yes, yes. And one of the biggest things I totally thoroughly enjoy is I love when you race car drivers and racing fans come up to me, and like say if I'm at Walmart or whatever, and say, "Hey, we recognize you through your racing show. Can we get your autograph? Can we get your picture taken with you?" And I'm like, I love it. I love it. I love it. And I've had that happen a time or two over at Spirit like Walmart. I've had people come up to me and say, "Hey, can you get your picture taken with you? Can you get your autograph? We know you through the racing show." I'm like, "Sure, not a problem."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a little weird. It's a little weird, but it's pretty awesome to have that happen.
Oh yes, this year we had some hero cards and stuff, and getting that's probably the highlight of my night is when all the little kids come down and ask for hero cards, and you get to sign them or sign their flags.
Yeah.
That's that's always my favorite part of the evening.
Oh yes, 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 yes. It is. It's a highlight of, mine. Everybody's like, so this is what you're gonna get remembered for. And I says, yep, that's what I'm gonna get remembered for, is being
Right.
this racing show host and doing a job, and I'm doing it very well.
Right. Yes.
Yes, yes. Maybe sometime if I'm up around the Sherburne area and I pop into Zach's trailer service, I can stop in and see you.
Yeah. Yeah. We're always around doing something.
Yeah, yeah. But Chance, do you have a racing page the racing fans can follow you on?
Yes, I have. I believe it is Chance Larson 95 on Facebook.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you get time, go hit up Chance Larson 95 on Facebook, and you'll find out some really awesome information about Chance Larson, the dirt stock car driver from the Midwest here. Um, Hopefully, Chance, you don't have a repeat of what happened at Wheeling this coming year.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you continue to grow with your racing career and, get to where you want to be at with your racing career.
Yes, I hope so.
Yes, yes, yes. But thank you again, Chance, for being on the racing show with me tonight, talking to us about your racing career, getting to know you a little bit better. Do you have anybody else you'd like to send a special thank you out before I let you go?
I don't think so. I think I covered everybody. Um, just again, I'd like to say thanks for, to anybody that's lended a hand on on anything throughout the years. It takes an army, to keep these things functioning. It A lot of people think that, they can go out and buy one and you can race it on Friday and leave it sit on the trailer all week and then go race it again Friday, and you can, but you're going to have poor results,
Yep,
and
exactly.
you can have some terrible accidents. I've seen a lot of terrible accidents caused by just lack of maintenance.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
anytime somebody will lend a hand and or volunteer just to help out at the racetrack, you gotta thank all of them and all of my sponsors, and just all the fans.
Okay.
It takes all of us together to keep these racetracks open.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you very much, Chance, for being on the racing show again tonight with me, talking to us about your racing career. I will let you go, Chance. You have a good night. I will call you in a few minutes to thank you in person, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Chance Larson, the stock car driver out of the Midwest here. Definitely go check out Chance Larson 95 Racing on Facebook. Also, ladies and gentlemen, like to talk a little bit about some stuff going on with racing. Definitely, we'll see what happens next year with sprint car racing because it has been kind of made official that Brad Sweet's going to run the full-on high limit series. But it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to run the World of Outlaw series also. So we'll see where that leads. Also, ladies and gentlemen, um, coming up, NASCAR racing season is done for the year. Congratulations goes out to Ryan Blaney and his team for picking up the NASCAR championship. Also, ladies and gentlemen, uh, definitely with the racing world, like I said, there's still some racing going on. There's racing going on the West Coast yet out in California, and racing going on in Florida, and that's pretty much year round. But if you would like to thank everybody for being a part of this racing show and being on this racing show with us. If you would like to sponsor our racing show, before I go any further, let's talk about our sponsors. I would like to thank Dirt Track Race Cars and Company, dirttrackracecars.com. Go to them for all your racing diecast needs because they've got some pretty awesome 164 scale sprint cars out there. They've got the 8D, the 8D yeah, car that won the 1989 Knoxville Nationals. They've got the Orange 8 car, and they also have the 29 Weikert Livestock car that won the 1985 Knoxville Nationals, all piloted by Doug Wolfgang. And then on top of that, they have the 47 Gil Sonner Casey General Store car that Danny Lasowski drove in 1994. And then they also have the one Nance sprint car that was piloted by Sammy Swindell that he drove in 1982. So go hit those up. Those are all 164 scale sprint cars. So go to Dirt Track Race Cars and Company, dirttrackracecars.com for all your racing diecast needs. Also, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Brody Manning and Manning Motorsports. So definitely go hit up Manning Motorsports and Brody Manning. They've got a pretty awesome racing team there. Also, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Walking with Waylon and New England Hemophilia Association. But if you'd like to sponsor our racing show or be on our racing show, feel free to um, text or call us at 712-209-7138, or you can email us at jjnolan151@gmail.com. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a good night. Catch you later on another episode of the Josh Nolan and Oliver Schultz Full Throttle Racing Show, #1 on YouTube. And continue living life at full throttle.